I'm not sure that Donald Trump has intent to eat a ham sandwich. He's not a person who has a plan.
That was Ben Shapiro essentially telling the American people that Donald Trump is too stupid to hatch up a plan to essentially overturn the results of the 2020 election. Now, it's interesting that he says that, especially following the damning testimony that was given under oath during the January 6th hearings this week. But before we get to that, why don't we hear more from Ben Shapiro's argument?
Now, the biggest problem that any prosecution, this is what Merrick Garland is facing down. The biggest problem for any prosecution of Trump is that virtually all the crimes they're talking about are crimes that require intent as an element of the crime. They're not negligence crimes. It's not Trump sat there and he didn't really know what was gonna happen. He was careless and reckless about it and therefore it happened. Because that, again, recklessness is a lower standard. Criminal negligence is a lower standard. If you want to prove intent, and that's what this committee said they were doing. They said from the outset, there was a 7-step plan, like a concerted plan of intent to get us from November 4th to January 6th, and that plan was put in place step by step methodically. They have not proved that there was a plan, right? It seems more like Donald Trump thrashing against a glass box is more what it seems like, frankly. But that was always true. Now, a few years ago, I said that I wasn't sure. We were talking about Trump and Ukraine and the impeachment effort. And I said, there too, this is a crime of intent. I'm not sure that Donald Trump has intent to eat a ham sandwich. He's not a person who has a plan. Okay, but the point is that this is always gonna be a difficulty with Trump because Trump is he's so instinctive in the way that he responds to things that it's very difficult ever to say that he had intent to do this particular thing that required a concerted plan.
I would just switch out the word intent with intelligence because that is what he is essentially saying here. But when it comes to actual intent, if you have been paying attention to the January 6th hearings, you will see that the intent it's been proven in multiple different sessions of the hearing. We're gonna show you one in just a moment. But this tweet, I think, sums it perfectly. This is awesome. He's literally saying the leader of their movement is too stupid to even understand he's committing crimes. Which, by the way, the too stupid to understand he's committing crimes is probably true, but that doesn't change the fact that he was committing crimes with the intent to commit those crimes. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But
yeah, no, don't dismiss Shapiro's argument because I think that is the exact argument Trump's lawyers will use if he's ever charged.
100%.
So first, they will focus on intent. That part is definitely true. Secondly, they will make an argument that look at him. I mean, as Shapiro described, he's like a thrashing about again in a plastic box, like right? Like look, they're like our leader is a caveman, a Neanderthal who just he's saying plan, intent to plan. This guy couldn't plan his way out of a wet paper bag. Oh, that's what we said all the time, and they were like, oh, that's outrageous. You know, he's a genius. Oh, really? Now that he might be charged with a crime? No, he's an idiot. Okay, no. And by the way, this is when Shapiro is actually being honest. Shapiro has known all along from day one that Donald Trump is one of the dumbest people in political life ever, in American history, dumb as rocks. And he just told you, you don't have to take my word for it. He said he does not have the capacity to plan. Can you call someone more stupid than that they don't even have the capacity to plan one step ahead? And that's who Trump is.
It sounds a lot like the affluenza defense. Yeah. Which unfortunately in the affluenza case, we're talking about a judge providing that defense for it was someone who had stolen a car, a rich kid who had stolen a car and then stole alcohol from a grocery store and then proceeded to crash into people on the side of the road, killing 2, if I remember correctly.
He had guys in the back of his pickup truck. I'm not sure he stole the car, he did steal stuff from the store, and 4 people died in the crash.
Oh, 4 people died.
Yeah. And they said, yeah, but he's rich. So rich people.
He doesn't understand the consequences of his actions as a rich kid.
Yeah.
That was literally what the judge said.
It worked. So with Trump, they might go with stupidenza. Like he's too stupid to understand the consequences of his actions. And Ben Shapiro has already officially started that campaign. And by the way, today, if the elections were held, Ben would vote for Donald Trump.
Now, I do agree that Donald Trump is stupid, but there was intent, and the testimony we heard from former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' top aide, Cassidy Hutchinson, was pretty damning. Now, during the hearing, the last hearing that happened, she provided the under oath testimony indicating that Donald Trump knew that the rioters were heavily armed because the rioters wanted to attend the rally that preceded the chaos and the rioting that took place in the Capitol. And he wanted them to get into the official rallying area, but they were unable to do so because they were heavily armed. Trump was furious that they weren't being allowed in. He was demanding that they be allowed in the area. And then after that, as they were marching to the Capitol chanting "Hang Mike Pence," remember, Trump knows they're heavily armed. He was encouraged to calm things down, but he didn't. Let's watch that part of the testimony.
I remember Pat saying something to the effect of, "Mark, we need to do something more. They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung." And Mark had responded something to the effect of, "You heard him, Pat. He thinks Mike deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong."
He deserves it. He doesn't think they're doing anything wrong. Trump knew that they were heavily armed. Trump knew that they were approaching the Capitol chanting "Mike Pence," and he didn't want to stop it because he felt that Mike Pence deserved it for refusing to implement this plan of using sham electors to overturn the results of the 2020 election.
Yeah, so now, as I double down on what Anna said, remember, I'm not the only one, and it's not at all just liberals. So first of all, his former counsel during the Mueller probe, Donald Trump's lawyer, Ty Cobb, today said the evidence is damning. And that he's like, if this isn't sedition, I don't know what is. That's Trump's lawyer saying it, okay? Now, Fox News analysts saying, well, I mean, you gotta charge him with crimes here. And the Fox News analyst was like, seditious conspiracy, that might be a tough one. But interfering with government officials, he's like, this is a layup. I'm not saying I'm in favor of it, I'm just saying it's a layup. Interfering with government officials with intent to harm is 20 years in prison. And he said that's also basically a layup, okay? And so guys, now doubling down what Anna and other Republican strategists, lawyers, and officials are saying, if you intended for them to go to the Capitol, you intended for them to have weapons, and you knew they might use the weapons on your own vice president and they might murder him, and you continued to encourage them, and he did, he sent a tweet saying Pence was at fault when he knew that Pence's life was in danger. You had every element of intent necessary. You couldn't have known it any more than Trump knew it, according to the testimony. So even for someone as admittedly dumb as Ben Shapiro says Donald Trump is, even that person could have intent if you prove it this clearly. Now, that isn't the question. The question is, what is the intent of Merrick Garland? Because Democrats are the weakest, most pathetic people in the world. So you could have the most slam dunk case in the world. His own lawyer could be telling you, what are you, idiot? The evidence is damning, why don't you do something already? And Merrick Garland can continue to go, it would be politically polarizing to charge the president.
Yeah, well, one final thing I want to mention is Trump's recent interview on Newsmax, because he goes on Newsmax and he wants them to keep pushing, because this is another piece of evidence, it's amazing. He knows what he's doing, okay? He might be stupid, but in this regard, he knows what he's doing. We know what his intent is. He goes on Newsmax and says, please continue pushing the big lie. Let's watch.
Look at the dishonesty of this committee. They don't talk about any of the things that refute January 6th. They don't talk about the election numbers. They don't analyze the election. The people were there because the election was rigged and stolen. So what they should be doing is trying to convince people that it wasn't. You do that through analyzing the numbers. They don't want to do that. In fact, they don't even want to hear that. And Fox doesn't put it on. And by the way, you people don't put it on either. You're afraid of being sued or something. I don't know, someday you'll have to explain that.
This is 2000.
In fact, they'll probably cut what I'm saying out right now out of Newsmax.
No, of course not. This will be on Wake Up America tomorrow morning, sir. Absolutely not.
Good. Get it done fast.
I will not allow that.
Get it done fast before Chris sees it, okay? But they might cut it out, and let's just see. I hope they put it on. But this was about a rigged and stolen election that millions and millions of people felt is true.
No intent? No intent. We agree with you, he's an idiot. but he knows what he's doing. And talk about the numbers, what numbers? He challenged the election in more than 60 court cases. He lost every single one of them. What numbers is he talking about? Not a shred of evidence indicating that there was widespread voter fraud or even enough voter fraud to change the results in some of these swing states that he lost. And then what about the down ballot elections where Republicans won? Were those rigged too? Come on, Ben, I know you gotta like carry water for the losers in your party, but stop enabling them. Like, it's obvious he doesn't like Trump. It's obvious he knows Trump is stupid. Stop providing cover for him. What are you doing?
Well, we know what he's doing. Money. Because he tried for a little while. He was against Trump, Ben Shapiro was, early on, 2016, 2017. And his audience was leaving him in droves. And he's like, oh, there goes my money. Never mind, I'll sell out all my principles. Please come back. Oh, and Ben Shapiro spent the next 3 to 4 years buried inside Donald Trump's. So then he comes around and he tells us, no, please don't prosecute Daddy, because Daddy's too stupid to know what he's doing.
Well, don't worry. I hear that Texas is planning on banning that. No more dairy or delights, okay?
Yeah, that's right. So last things here. Why did Trump think that Chris Ruddy, who runs Newsmax, that's who he was referencing, was going to cut it out? Because if you say things that are untrue, people sue you like Dominion and Smartmatic, and it costs you billions of dollars. And Chris Ruddy, who runs Newsmax and Fox News, they know that Donald Trump is a serial pathological liar. And if they lie about that, they're going to get sued. And then the last thing is, hey, Donald Trump, you keep saying, well, why don't they talk about the 2020 election? I want equal time, No problem, go testify. They'll give you all the time in the world. They'll give you as much time as Cassie Hutchinson or all the people combined. Yep. Go tell them about all of your great, amazing data. And you got the receipts, right? And you got all the fraudulent votes and the cracking and the dumps, you got them all. Go get them, big guy, go get them.
Go get
Testify. Oh, you don't want to because you're guilty.
Yeah, just like Ginny Thomas, who first said, can't wait to talk to the House committee.
Now she can wait.
All of a sudden.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.